Hi gang, I got something I never expected, which is a request for video. This is a request for a disassembly and reassembly of a 1911. Again, I never expected to get any kind of a request, so today I am giving my rifles a rest, and I'm down here with one of my 1911 pistols. This is a Remington 1911 R1, which follows the basic pattern of the original military pistol. There are variations to disassembling and reassembling 1911 pistols. This design has been around for over 100 years at this point, and people have done different things to it over the years that change somewhat the way they come apart and go together. So what I'm going to be demonstrating is how you disassemble the standard military version 1911. Now, some of the ones that have guide rods and other odds and ends that various manufacturers and gunsmiths have added over the years might not come apart just exactly the way I'm going to show you with this one. But the majority of 1911s will come apart the way I'm going to demonstrate. The other thing I want to say before I get started is there is, oddly, more than one way to take the standard military pistol apart. I'm going to show two different ways. One of them is the way the military teaches. The other is just a different variation that will allow you to disassemble the pistol. This is basic field stripping. I'm not taking the thing completely down. This is not a detailed strip video where I'm going to go down to every screw and spring and everything else. This is just basic disassembly for cleaning and maintenance. Then we'll do a quick reassembly. So with that being said, with the 1911, obviously the first thing you have to do is safety check it. Make sure you don't have a loaded pistol. Oops, I'm going to lock the slide to the rear. Check the barrel. Check the magazine well area and make certain that I do have an unloaded pistol, which I do. I don't want to end up looking like other people that I've seen on YouTube that manage to not safety check their pistol and all of a sudden have a problem. I'm going to go ahead at this point, lower the slide, and I will drop the hammer to take pressure off of the mainspring. At this point, there is the end of the recoil spring plunger right here at the very bottom. I guess I'll move in a little bit closer. Very bottom of the barrel bushing, which is this part right here. This has to be depressed in order to rotate the barrel bushing, which is one of the things that has to happen for disassembly of the 1911. In the standard military pistols with the standard bushing, this is a fairly simple process to push that down and turn this then to release the recoil spring. This particular pistol has a match bushing, and a lot of pistols that are made these days also have a match bushing that fits tight enough that it requires a tool to be able to help you with this. The tool is nothing more than a wrench. Most of them look something like this, and I'm going to push down with that, and it will depress that recoil spring plunger enough for me to be able to rotate it. Now, as I turn it, you have to be careful or you'll shoot this thing across the room. Once I've turned it slightly, I can easily release it, and that will allow the recoil spring, or release the tension rather from the recoil spring. Again, don't just turn it and let go or it's going to go shooting across the room. What I'm going to do now, in order to release some pressure on that match bushing, is retract the slide just slightly. Now, I can rotate this very easily because the barrel is slightly tapered. It gets tighter as it gets toward the front. And with a little bit of messing around, sooner or later I'll get that thing out of there. There we go. You can remove the bushing from the barrel. This will now allow you to remove the slide stop. Now you have to line up the notch right here with the inside of the slide stop. You'll be able to see it in there. And push that out. And you can also see that there's nothing really holding on to your recoil spring plunger, and it'll fall off if you're doing that. Now you can slide this portion, your slide and barrel assembly forward off the frame, and this is as far as the frame needs to come down for basic maintenance. You can then remove the recoil spring assembly with the recoil spring guide. Make sure the link on the barrel is down. Lift up on the rear of the barrel, which will release it from the locking grooves, and you can slide the barrel out through the end of the slide. This is as far as you're going to need to take down your 1911 for basic cleaning and maintenance. Real quick on reassembly, it's in reverse order. Make sure the link is down, the barrel goes in from the front of the slide. You'll feel it lock down into the locking lug recesses. You take your recoil spring assembly, put it in so that it's right in front of the link. The link for your barrel is here. That's down. The recoil spring assembly and guide sit right back against it. And you can see this is cut out on the top to the contour of the barrel. You make sure the rounded portion is away from the barrel and the contoured portion that fits is up against there. You can then slide the frame on. And you'll be able to see the link for the barrel through your hole right here. Now keep in mind, this recessed area on the bottom of the slide is going to have to meet up with your slide stop when you reinstall that. And the pin on the end of the slide stop has to go through the barrel link, has to capture that. Be careful when you do this that you don't scrape the side of your frame with the slide stop. Line everything up and it should slide into place fairly easily. This particular pistol is a little bit finicky with the plunger right here that holds the slide stop in the upward position. So what I have to do when I put this back in, now I have captured the link at the bottom of the barrel at this point, so I do need to take something that will allow me to push that plunger back in slightly. Sometimes I can get it without it. I'll see if I can get it without it today. See if we can get lucky. Nope, it's going to require a tool. Hold on here for just a second. Okay, gang, sometimes when you're working on firearms, you need a couple of things that aren't necessarily readily available. One of them is a third or sometimes fourth hand, and the other thing is a tool that might not be what you normally expect. What I did in order to depress that small plunger that seats right up against the back of the slide stop there is I used a plastic knife because it's so thin, and I was able to reach in underneath there, push back on the plunger, and snap that down where it goes. One of the reasons I like to use plastic or wood or something like that is I don't have to worry about it marring the metal. There are some other tools made that would probably work a little better. That's just what I happen to have handy here today, and that's what I used. Once you get to this point, I've obviously moved the slide forward, and I also set the safety just to hold the slide in place so it's not moving around. I'll now get my barrel bushing. Notice the projection right here, once I get it lined up there, right there on the barrel bushing. You've got to position this so that it will, when you slide it under the barrel, move down and allow the bushing to slide into place. At this point, I'm going to rotate the bushing the other way far enough to allow me to be able to replace the recoil spring plunger. And what I'm hoping to be able to do, yes, is be able to turn this by hand pressure. I'm actually able to get away with this without the wrench this time. And as I turn this back, that recoil spring plunger will snap into place. Take my safety off, and I can cycle the slide, and at this point our 1911 is completely reassembled. That's part one of this video. I'll do a part two showing you an alternate way to disassemble and reassemble the 1911.